Hello there. PISA stands for Presentation, Interactions, Synchronous Activity, and Analysis, Learning Analytics. And the X is for a shortened version of the PISA course. And here, the English version. And I will give you a brief overview of the introductory part of that course calculated for like 6 webinars, 4 to 6 to 7 webinars. Here are the content: introduction, record and upload, PowerPoint as an audiovisual editor, instructional web pages, learning objects, document structure, asset management, and then finally next steps that goes beyond this particular course. Let's look at them step by step. The introduction is quite a mouthful because it starts with the internet and some concepts and also the overall technical infrastructure for this course, which is a bit has a lot of content. It's a good idea to look through that and study that in detail, but don't try to remember everything because we will come back to that while we go through the rest of the course. Record and upload, go straight ahead on the desktop studio and how to set up that and create your recording, upload that to YouTube or some other asset manager. And then we go on to the PowerPoint as an audiovisual editor. We can use PowerPoint to create the backgrounds for the video. And that can be done more professionally when you study that and test yourself and exercise a bit more in creating good videos. And then we go on to the instructional web page, which contain these videos. And they are part of a structure. We will return to that. But the point is to create navigational structure that are reasonably fixed, easy to follow for the students, but the content should be varied, and we want some variation in the presentational modes so that it doesn't become too tedious. Then we turn to the learning objects that are the component parts of many of these pages, and that are handled differently, separately, in terms of architecture and servers and so on and so forth. The learning objects are like videos, still images, audio bytes, and so on and so forth. Interactive assignments can also be considered an interactive learning object. Very important part of online teaching and learning. And then we look at the document structure overall, how this is built, how this is developed, and not the least in terms of collaboration on developing materials, because the work is quite extensive and it's a good idea to have more people involved in an editorial committee. And then finally, we look at how to handle the various assets like images and videos for reuse, so that can be the work we put into that can be made for good use for different kind of learning materials in different contexts. And there are some things we should think about in order to do that in an effective way. Next step goes beyond this course. That's what you do after you have taken the basic course. But let's look at, a little bit on the internal dependencies, which are not sequential in this design. For you can see that the PowerPoint as an audiovisual editor, maybe that is useful for the recording, but we start with the recording because that is practice. And then it's easier to gain an interest in how to make good PowerPoint slides as the background for those recordings. And the recordings, they are a kind of learning object together with many others. So when we have some experience in making those, we can also talk with more engagement about learning objects as a general phenomenon. And then the learning objects, of course, they are part of the web page. That is the smallest unit in our view on what we should focus on in teaching and learning. And then instructional web pages and learning objects together, they form document structure, and it's also the learning objects and even also the whole document that are assets that should be managed. So we start to move towards the overall system of handling these kind of MOOC textbooks, as we might call them. So that's it. Let us dive in. Good luck.